Adam, would you like to, Jesse, okay, Adam, would you like to make a motion to approve it? Okay,
Yeah,
so that's the way.
I don't know if you want a motion and a vote, there's nothing, I think you want us the guidance to come back with a resolution.
Okay.
Because
That's what I think we
this
have.
allows the bus fleet to be whole, whether or not we end up with an electric bus. The 6, going out with the 6, because you want a total of 6 regardless. And what we started talking about was potentially 5 and 1, but you're saying 6, a definite separate proposition and 1 additional electric.
And this having it on a separate resolution, gives the community the opportunity to maintain the bus fleet, and we would actually be able to gauge the comfort level of the community for this. And each of us as community members have the opportunity to vote at the ballot box however we feel inclined. And then we know how the community feels about this, and that's just additional knowledge that always helps us, because we are here representing the members of the community, so.
So we'll vote budget, 6 buses, electric bus.
Next. We'll approve.
The agenda next meeting will have 3 separate resolutions.
Okay.
To adopt a budget number, to adopt the resolution for the buses, and the resolution for the 7 all electric vehicles.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, drive safely.
Finish. We had other stuff in the agenda besides buses. That was really interesting.
It was a really good conversation.
I will say,
Right,
right,
a lot of good information.
one thing I read was that they're significantly quieter, and one of the bus drivers said that they could hear the teenagers talking all the way in the back row, and responded, and the kids were a little bit mortified by the fact that the bus driver might be worth it just for that, just kidding. I'm really just kidding. 11, okay.
Just keep going, we're good.
Okay, am I missing something? So policy, what's more fun than talking about budgets and buses? Policy. So we've got, first readings, for the total group. The policy committee has, gone through these, actually, quite some time ago. They've gone to NISBA, they've come back, I say NISBA or NISBA, they've come back to us, and they're, over to you guys for approval, conversation, edits, etc. So I could start with the first reading of policy 54, 2021, but Adam looks like he's.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the first and further readings of 5420.1 and adopt as written.
I'll second.
Any discussion on 54, 2021? Okay. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of adopting 54, 2021 as written? Okay. That is unanimous, Linda. 12B, policy 7365, construction safety.
I would like to make a similar motion to waive further readings and adopt 7365 as written.
Okay. And Megan seconds that, Linda. And any discussion on 7365? No, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving 7265 as written, unanimous. Okay, we have policy 8000, support services, goals.
Make a motion to waive further readings and adopt 8,000 as written.
Do you think he's wrong?
What's that?
Do you think he's wrong? Or no? And it's okay if you don't.
Yeah, but isn't there a magic word we can say to condense?
Yeah.
If, yeah.
But
See,
I actually have a question on this one, so.
Okay, so
Oh, so
Do we have to?
let's get a second.
I'll
So,
second.
second, okay, discussion. Everyone discussion.
Yeah, I would, again, I want to reiterate that I would tread carefully with so many policies. I understand that local policy is what defines us. But this says support services goals. Goals, I just struggle with being policies. It is their a different term that would fit better. When I think of a policy, I don't think of it as a goal, me personally. It's not that it's bad. It's just, do we want to make goals policy?
Anybody have a response?
Well, I think that, so, I mean, the way that I read it as goals is that it's expected policies, expectations. There is some kind of framework that, you know, where, what is the scope of where it applies, right? It's not, you know, it's not, it provides, it's expectations, right? So that we're kind of laying out for the, you know, for the administration and for the staff. So Megan had her hand up and then Jess, how about Jess and Megan on the way?
I did, but I think, you said Jess first.
Megan and Jess on the way.
Thank you. So I tend to agree with Michelle on the, you know, necessity of what could potentially be redundant policies. However, the last time that we kind of reviewed this, I think that we kind of tried to make the distinction of a local policy that empowers our administrative team to be most effective in implementation. I'm really trying to leash myself because I know sometimes the impactful way that I speak can come across wrong. So I'm really trying to choose my words carefully here. But I just, if this is something that the policy committee in conjunction with admin and whatnot feel would be most beneficial to help empower them to continue to do good work for the students, then I'm not opposed to that.
So it sounds like we're not, like the first reading, the second reading is we want to tweak language, right? This is just whether or not we agree. So this is, we could just go over if there's no questions on the changes. Well, changes, as opposed to just whether or not we want the policy, is all I wanted to say. The comments that people are making are not like tweaking the policy for a second reading or a whatever. It's literally just.
It's essentially a build-up to a potential resolution to rescind this policy. I think, so.
So, and while I agree with Michelle's assessment, because we had this before in the 7,000s, and it was policy 7,000, which we ended up rescinding, but we put the intent of the district, we were able to put the intent of the district values and folded that into another very similar policy. So we were able to address the concerns that sort of stated the values of the district. And then it went on further, I forget the exact details. In this case, we didn't really have a good policy to roll those values into like we did in the 7,000 series, but that's sort of overarching. And this policy, I personally like because it talks about support services being valued and part of our educational program to make sure our students are safe and fed and not wanting for things. And so that's why I personally think, while it's a goal and maybe we should retitle it, that it's worth keeping. But I'm happy to discuss that more or go with the will of the board if people don't think that's necessary either.
So the statement I was gonna make, again, it's like not specific to this policy, but I guess over this overall conversation about policies versus goals and all that. I get previous discussion about this, the idea that we want policies to be specific enough to be meaningful, and so that's harder to do when we're calling something a goal. And so I'm mindful of that. I think like that's an important point to move forward in terms of should a policy be a goal and vice versa. But I also think that sometimes you're gonna speak in broader language because you wanna talk about goals in terms of clarity of intent. And so it has a function in policies that speak to goals, I think have that function of being clear about what our intent is for any given thing or what the overall function of, whether that be a title or a position, what the function of that is. So not just with this one, but moving forward, when I think about goals being in policy, it's to that end for clarity of intent.
I just was gonna say that I think one risk we have in making too many policies is that the policies lose some of their effect. And so this is one that's pretty general, and I truly hope that the goals listed here would be the goals of any school district. So I don't think that this one is necessary, knowing how many policies we have. This one really, these are goals that every district should have if that's the business that they're in. And as I just said, so having so many policies, we lose the meaning of what we're really trying to accomplish. And I think this is one that we just don't need.
Do we,
I want to make a motion to waive second reading.
Well, that's already on the
I
floor.
have a motion to proceed.
Oh, it is?
So the motion on the floor is to waive second reading and adopt as written. So
then we would just,
The option is to take it back and ask to rework it or to rescind it.
I want to guess make a motion to rescind it.
Rescind it, right?
we have to vote no on the motion that's on the table.
So we either have to vote on the motion that's on the floor, or Adam has to rescind his motion, right? Am I correct about that? The procedure?
I mean, I don't think it's a problem for us to just vote no on the motions on the table.
Okay.
So all those in favor of adopting policy 8000 as written?
I still like it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
You can vote your comments.
Vote. Yeah.
okay, so all those in favor? Oh, just two.
Yep.
Okay, and all those against? And I'm gonna abstain to keep it. Because well, I guess I can't, right?
Yeah, they showed hers for, I'm sorry.
It's not right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine didn't.
I don't have the confidence in my math tonight, I really don't.
So-
So,
Okay, so the motion fails.
Yeah.
So motion fails.
yeah, she can make your motion.
Okay. I make a motion to rescind. Rescind
Policy 8000.
policy 8000, thank you. Michelle seconded.
Linda you're good, you're getting all this? Okay,
Was the motion to rescind just a
just D,
Michelle seconded.
Michelle second. Okay, and now discussion. Okay, all those in favor of rescinding policy 8000? So that's 4. All those against rescinding policy 8000? There are 2. I'm going to abstain. Okay. All right, so that passes, policy 8000 is rescinded.
Had a good 22-year run.
Oh, Jesus.
You're the one that says too many food,
Yeah, we did the process, and so, yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Anyway.
Okay. Policy 8110, school building.
I make a motion to waive further readings and adopt 8110 as written.
Megan second, Madam first. Discussion on school building.
As a member of the safety committee, I love that we take safety quite seriously in the district, and it is always at the forefront of our mind, and I appreciate that, so.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of adopting policy 8110 as written? That is unanimous. Okay. 12E, policy 8112, health and safety.
I make a motion to waive further readings and adopt 8115 as written.
Wait, wait.
8112.
8112. 8112 is first.
Health and Safety Committee.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, sorry.
And
I
then
make a
there's
motion
pesticides.
to waive further readings of 8112 and adopt as written.
Megan seconds, discussion. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of adopting 8112 as written? Unanimous. Now we can do pesticides. Was that?
Who seconded?
Megan seconded.
Gotcha.
8115, pesticides and pest management.
Make a motion to waive further readings and adopt 8115 as written.
I will second.
I do have a question on this one. Jim, didn't we already have one of these in place? Okay, that's what I thought. It was,
Yeah. So
I
this
feel
was,
like we went through this in the grounds.
yeah, no,
meeting.
there was,
Okay,
we did it as a update, I think last year maybe, and then this one came around again, there was a couple minor tweaks from this budget, I think.
okay. Yeah, I
So-
felt like we met about.
Yeah, no, I know,
Okay.
it's deja vu, I get it too. These policies sometimes.
Everything's running together.
Alright, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of adopting 8115 as written? That is unanimous.
I make a motion to rescind 7,000.5, 7360, 8124, 8415, and 8415.1.
I will second.
Okay, as a block. Jesse?
Just quick discussion, so 7,000.5 is rolled into 7,100, which is why we're rescinding it. 7360 is covered in other policies, 8124 is replaced by 5420.1, which we just approved, and then 8415 and 8415.1 are all covered in policy 4531. So just so you guys know why we're rescinding these.
Also, just for the benefit of our wonderful community members who are hanging in there with us and the folks that are watching at home, all of the board policies are available to be viewed and read on the district's website. And I encourage community members, as I often do, to go and take some time and read them. Thank you.
Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, I'm a wild one.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of rescinding G through K as a block, rescinding those policies? All those in favor? Just G?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No pressure?
I'm just
Okay, that's
saying that.
also unanimous, thank you guys. The next item is just informational regarding signage. You guys have that information. We are in our second public comment period for the evening, but I don't have any blue sheets right now for items on the agenda, so we'll keep moving to board member reports. I'm glad to see that our student participants got home, got their homework, hopefully getting an early bedtime.